Welcome to the King and Deuce podcast. We appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm here at Star Factory Artist Development, where I create my Detroit Pistons anthem records. And I'm joined by my co-host and partner in crime, King. What's good, bro?
What's good, brother?
Listen, man, we got a special guest on with us today. Mr. Javin Hunter, father of Jaden Ivey, has returned to the show. So Javin joined us last year during All-Star Weekend when Jaden was in the Skills Challenge and also the Rising Stars game. And we talked about a number of things, including his father, James Hunter, who played cornerback for our Detroit Lions. And last time you were on, bro, we also talked about your youngest son, Jordan, who also has a very bright basketball future. And so we're going to get into him a little bit later. And then also finally, we talked about, Javin, your own football career, where you played wide receiver and cornerback for the Baltimore Ravens. And, of course, we talked about your oldest, Jaden. Some of y'all might know him. Just an NBA rising star, Jaden Ivey.
Speaking of which, hey, that's why everybody's here, right? We want to talk about our guy J.I., man. It's been a lot of ups and downs this season alone. Last season was a tough season, a lot of learning experience, not a lot of great guys around him, a lot of injuries, but you see some adversity at the beginning of this season. But now he's rolling. He's showing us all of that star potential, man. And everything is on the up and up. So right now, at this moment, is a great time to catch that and expound on how good he's been playing lately. Also, we're going to get into the Rising Stars and everything else above.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Javin, listen, bro, we appreciate you taking the time with us to join us for a second time. And it's always good to have you on, bro.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Really appreciate it. You guys do a great job.
All right. So, Javin, first and foremost, let everybody know where you are. Where are you right now currently?
So I'm currently in Michigan. I'm at family home in Orchard Lake, Michigan. But I travel back and forth between Virginia, D.C., Maryland, the DMV, and Detroit. So I'm kind of back and forth. So, Jaden's obviously here in Michigan. My mother's here. And then, I have Jordan back in Virginia. So I've been doing this thing for a long time, going back and forth. So continue with that.
Jaden was selected by team captain Jaden Catchings, who, by the way, is one of the greatest WNBA players of all time, period. I'm a big WNBA fan, so I remember going back to the Shock days when they were winning championships. I think, King, you too. But every time she would come here with the fever, the Indian fever, she would come to the Palace, man, to play the shot. It seemed like she dropped 25, 30 points on us every single time, man. Like, she's an absolute dog, man, and a world champion, right? So shout out to her. Can you, Javin, just kind of speak to the relationship that she has with your family, you guys? Her and Jaden seem to be pretty tight.
Absolutely. So, obviously, Tamika and Niele played together in Indiana. And, obviously, I was there. It seems like ages ago. We were just young 20-year-old kids fresh out of college. We had this baby boy. And Tamika was just a great person to be around. She came to all Jaden's little things we had for him, his birthday parties and things. We stayed in that little apartment complex in Indianapolis at the Fever setup, and so I was always there, obviously, with Jaden and her, and so. But Tamika was just a great person to be around, great personality, very friendly, very personable, and she spent a lot of time with us, and we enjoyed having her around. Jaden obviously remembers that, and it was great to see their connection, just yesterday.
Yeah, we saw a couple clippings. So Jaden was mic'd up, and he was just talking to her about how blessed he was to have been brought back together, by God with her, to be able to have her coach him and to play in the game. And you could really just see he really was. It was very authentic and very pure from an emotional standpoint. You could see the love that he had for her. I thought that was pretty cool. For sure.
Absolutely. See it come full circle from him being around her as a baby. I think they showed the little picture of Tamika holding him as a baby. So that was fun to see. They didn't get the win last night, but that's all right. It was a good experience for both of them, I'm sure.
Yeah, we're going to get to that, bro. I'm glad you said that. So last night's Rising Stars Challenge, that was pretty interesting, huh? From what we saw?
Very interesting.
If you by chance didn't catch it, just give you a little backstory. Things got a little chippy yesterday between Team Tamika, who Jaden played for, and Team Jaylen Rose, who Benedict Mathurin played for. And there seems to be a little bit of history there. those two have been kind of linked together and competitive toward each other in the past, and we saw it again last night. And so, for those who don't know, Jaden was picked ahead of Ben in the 2022 draft, right? Jaden obviously was picked 5th by the Pistons, and then Ben was picked right behind him at number 6 to Indiana. So last night during the game, just to catch y'all up who didn't see, dead ball situation, it looked like Benedict Mathurin said something to Jaden. And he said something along the lines of, even in the Rising Stars game, you can't guard me. And for the record, Ben can't guard Jaden either. Period. And then, you know what? I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna put it on wax. Jaden Ivey is a better basketball player than Ben Mathurin. Straight up. And I think time is gonna prove me right. But when he said it, it seemed like it kind of caught Jaden off guard because he's like, wait, what? What'd you say? And then after he realized that Ben was serious, then Jaden got serious, and it seemed like he kind of used that as fuel. Like, oh, word? Okay, that's what we doing? Okay, so I don't think Jaden's going to forget that too quickly, but I wanted to get your reaction, Javin, to what you thought. Like, when you saw that transpiring, what was kind of going through your mind, bro?
Honestly, I laughed. You know what? I like Benedict. I love Benedict. I think he's a very competitive kid. Every time I've seen them play, he's kind of going at Jaden and being chippy, which I like and I respect as an athlete. But, you know, Jaden's got Detroit in his blood. He's not ducking no smoke, and we'll see Benedict again. But, Jaden had a lot on his mind, to be honest with you. His mind was back in Detroit with his wife, who was getting ready to give birth to a baby girl. She did this morning, a baby girl, a healthy baby girl.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's major.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So Jaden's head was, to his defense, I think his head was back home. And it's just amazing how God works because, baby girl waited until Jaden got back home to come into the world.
Wow.
So God's timing and divine intervention is truly amazing. But she made a healthy arrival into the world. And so now back to be math. We'll see you soon.
Yeah. As soon as this coming Thursday.
Oh,
when they match up. Yeah. Yeah. So I think I'm looking forward to that one.
Be ready.
For sure.
Absolutely. It'll be competitive, and that's what we like.
That's it, man. So I kind of want to pivot now back to your father. I know we talked about him last stream, but we're really big on not forgetting those who came before us that allowed us to be in the position that we're in, right? But with the success that the Detroit Lions are having too this past season, I thought it'd be really fitting to talk about him a little bit. So, Jay, I'm not sure if you were aware of this, man, but your father is 7th all-time. I got it written down. He's 7th all-time in interceptions in Lions history. Question for you. Do you have any idea how many he had?
27.
Woo! That boy is on it. I had a feeling you knew, bro. Yeah. So 20. Yeah, I see. 27 over a 6-year span. So for those watching, that's basically 4.5 picks a year. So to put that in perspective, a guy by the name of Deion Sanders, who y'all might know, he averaged 3.8 per year. So your father averaged more picks a season than the great Deion Sanders. So and the crazy part is that right in the middle of his prime, his career was cut short by a bad neck injury, right?
Right.
Okay. So just imagine if he would have been able to live out his career. But I actually have a quick story about him too. I wanted to share with you, Javin. When I was just looking up some footage on him, and I came across something, an old video of him when he was playing. And you probably, I'm sure you've seen this, but I had just seen it recently. But on a particular play, he was lined up defending in the red zone. I think they were playing the Vikings, if I'm not mistaken. But hike the ball, right? He picks it off. He picks it off on that play in the red zone. And they throw a flag.
Mm-hmm.
Replay down.
Yeah.
On the very next play, he picks it off again.
Yeah.
Like it's nothing. So I'm like, why would you even go back in his direction? First of all, when he just picks you off, but it just showed how talented of a corner he was to be. I had never seen that before. Back-to-back plays. So just in your opinion, how much more successful do you think he would have been in today's NFL with the way the game is played today?
Yeah, coincidentally, that was against the great Ahmad Rashad. I know you guys are familiar with that name.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yep. They had some.
Wow.
In terms of today's game, I mean, it translates. My father's speed, 6'3", ran a 4.3, so his length as well. Being able to cover taller receivers, which are very prevalent today. more than in the past. There's a lot of
Right.
big receivers, DK Metcalf and those guys are all, tall receivers. So him be able to match up with those guys, you can leave him out on the island by himself and he'll be able to handle his own. So he could definitely play in this time, especially with his speed, his quickness, and his length. So, a lot of guys used to say before that he was born too soon, right? He would have made a lot of money, in these days.
Yeah.
But like I said before, he's created an outstanding legacy. Our family is continuing to grow. Jaden's doing his thing, Jordan's doing his thing. So we hope for more success, moving forward.
Two things real quick. Number one, we could definitely use your father right now. That corner situation is not the greatest.
Yeah, that corner room.
I always wanted to ask you this. Jaden is one of the fastest players that I've seen. Right now, he's definitely top 1 or 2 in the league as far as speed, if you ask me. Has it ever crossed your mind to say, hey, man, I wonder what Jaden would have looked like in football if he would have pursued football?
Yeah, I thought about that when Jaden was, in middle school, because he kept telling me, Dad, I don't want to play football. I don't want to play. And that used to make me mad because I thought he was selling himself short. And, at that time, he didn't show what I thought he should be showing at that time on the basketball court, But he proved me wrong. He proved me wrong. He proved us wrong. And he really put everything into to basketball and he put the work in and he made it happen. And I'm so proud of him for that. But definitely he could have played receiver or he could have been a nice strong safety because he was a tough kid. He wasn't afraid to hit and he could run. So if you get an athlete out there, there's a lot of places you can put him.
Yeah.
Right.
I could definitely see that, man. We're going to keep it football for a second.
Okay.
Obviously, you got 2 shades of blood in you, right? There's a little Lions blood in there simply because of the heritage, right? But, of course, you got the Baltimore blood in you. That meetup that we had during the season, we don't want to talk about that. That was an anomaly.
Yeah, I went to that game.
But, when you look at what just took place in the playoffs, Lions just, did some incredible things in the playoffs, man. We won the NFC for the first time since it existed. All the way to the NFC Championship game, unheard of, right? But then you look at a Ravens team who also were right there knocking on the door. And both of these teams, unfortunately, ended at the same point. The double devastation. How did you feel about each? Because I know, obviously, Baltimore all the way. Yeah. But at the same time, I know it's Lions love in there, too.
Oh, 100%. 100%. So, listen, I wanted the Ravens and Lions to see each other in the Super Bowl. So obviously, that didn't work out. But if I had to choose one, I honestly wanted the Lions to win. I wanted the Lions to be there because, it's been a long drought. The Ravens, and we have 2 Super Bowls, right? So we'll be okay, right? But the Lions haven't seen any parts of that in a long, long time. So it would have meant a lot to the city of Detroit. It would have meant a lot to our family. It's something my father would have loved to see, lived to see. It had he been here. So I really wanted the Lions to do it. But I think, they're building something. I think they have a great head coach in Dan Campbell that has changed the program around. And so we'll see how they do next year. They've got a chance. I got another chance next year. So we'll see.
Just real quick, just to add to the end of that, how has it been coming to Detroit and seeing the fan base interact with that team being so good? I know it's a vibe that we've never seen in this before.
Right.
I've seen Jaden wear Lions gear to the games. Have you taken the time to, per se, put on a Lions hat? Wear a Lions hat, represent.
I got my Detroit. It's not Lions. Yeah. Detroit. Yeah, I'm always representing
That's how that matters.
Detroit. Yeah, I'm always representing Detroit, whether I'm in the DMV or anywhere else. I'm always representing Detroit, Lions, Pistons, obviously. And so to see the love and to see the city come out and support the Lions was amazing to see. You know, they came out in droves to the games. I heard the atmosphere was crazy. I didn't go, but Jaden went to that playoff game at Ford Field and just said the atmosphere was crazy. That he said it was so loud he couldn't hear it. He had the little headphones on, the baby, so he wasn't affected by it. But it was amazing to see. And now that they have a winning program, winning team, the vibe is a little bit different around the team. So they're going to continue to see that support moving forward.
I want to kind of pivot to your personal endeavors and projects for a minute now, Jay. I know you've been pretty busy lately, and you've recently added, among other things, the title of NFL Trust Captain to your resume. So go ahead and brush your shoulders off for that, for sure. Major congrats to you for that, bro. But for our viewers, can you elaborate on what NFL Trust Captain, what does that entail, and how did you get into that? How did you get that opportunity?
Yeah, so the Players Trust is an organization. It's an earned benefit for former players that have had at least 2 years, active years in the NFL. And what we do is just try to help guys transition away from the game of football. You know, we have 3 pillars: health and wellness, community and connection opportunities, and personal and business development. And so I think the most important pillar that we provide is the health and wellness piece, you know, because once you guys are away from the game, you got to see how your bodies are, right? If you're healthy enough to move forward into your next endeavor. So we send guys away to either Tulane or North Carolina Chapel Hill. They get a thorough brain and body assessment. And you get a comprehensive evaluation of where your body is, and then once you get that evaluation, then you move forward into that next step, into your next endeavor. But you know, we just work together, you know, to help guys understand the resources available to them, right? It's amazing the amount of you know, former players that don't know all of these programs and resources that are available to help them move forward, right? So that's all we do. You know, there's, you know, a great team of individuals there at the Trust in DC. You got Lusaka Polite, who's the director, who actually hired me. Kelly Mertens is the executive director. Shania Richburg, who works alongside them. And then you've got the captains, right? You've got Hall of Famer, I think the head Hall of Famer, Darryl Green, is a captain. You got Dwayne Starks, who won the Super Bowl with the Ravens. Deion Grant, Demetric Evans. You got Cliff Crosby. You got Zach Yassi, James Devlin, and some of the newer captains, Drew Davis and Darius Jennings and myself. So just a great team of guys. And the great thing about it is there's no egos involved, no egos at all. We're just here to help guys. We work together seamlessly. And I enjoy being around these guys. It's an important thing that we do to help guys.
That's amazing, man, because we hear so much about players, not even just in football, but what do you do after the game is over? You've given so much to the game, and the game has given you a lot too. But how do you transition? A lot of athletes that I've come to know have had trouble transitioning out of that, whether it's because of financial issues or whether it's because of, like you mentioned, mental health, wellness issues, a lot of things that can happen. You give your body, you give your blood, sweat, and tears to this game, and you got to make sure you're taking care of yourself after the fact too. So I think this is amazing that you guys are right there as soon as they've given that to the game to be able to kind of transition them in the best way possible for them. I think that's amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's the transition is tough, man. I mean, whether you played 5 years or 15 years or 2 years, right? The transition is tough. I mean, you're trying to figure out what you're good at, what you will have a passion for, what you want to see yourself doing for the next 20 or 25 years, right? So, you know, it's a transition any way you look at it. And so all we do is provide services to help make that transition easier. You know, we consult with guys, we point them in the right direction to get the help they need. And all those facets that you mentioned, you know, all we want to do is just help guys move forward.
Let's transition a little bit. Your son, Jordan, last time we talked, he was definitely coming in to his own from a basketball perspective. He's got to be, at least about 6 feet, 6'1" by now?
He's about 6'2", 6'3".
6'2",
wow. 2.5, yeah.
Wow.
So he's growing a little bit.
His growing spurt continues, or he's pretty much...
I'm hoping it does. I want him to get to at least 2 or 3 more inches. I need that. He's got, you know what? his grandfathers on both sides of the family were very tall. They were both. My father was 6'3". His mother's father was 6'4", 6'4.5". So
wow, okay.
you know, he's got that size. So you know, I'm expecting him to grow, you know, a few more inches here.
Everybody needs to go follow him on Instagram. And we'll be sure to drop, a link to his IG when we drop this video. For those who are watching, it's J Boogie. So that's JBOO_GIE5. Worth the follow. He got a lot of great stuff coming. And he's growing literally and figuratively, man. It seemed like last year, when we were on here, I was looking up some clips of him. And on the fast break, I was seeing him getting off the floor, but just laying the ball up. And now that he's gotten so much bigger and grown into his body, he's going in there and just tomahawking everything.
Oh yeah,
looking like his older brother. So I'm telling you guys, he's next up, man. I'm telling you that LeVar Ball prediction I had last year, man. I gotta tell you, man, it's looking like you might be the next LeVar Ball with all these successful boys in the league, man.
That'd be amazing. Yeah, we'll
man,
see.
Oh, man.
We'll see. That'd be a blessing.
I'm telling you, it's looking more and more like a reality the way Jordan is hooping right now.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan, we put him in a great program. He's at Paul 6 in Chantilly, Virginia. They're ranked number 1 or 2 in the country right now, depending on, obviously which publication you look at.
Right.
But they have a great team. They got 5. So their starting 5 are all high major D1 players, right? You got 1 kid going to Notre Dame. You got two kids going to Duke. You got 1 kid going to Rhode Island, and then you got 1 kid going to UConn. So, Glenn Farello, as the head coach there, has built an outstanding program, continuing to put kids into D1 programs. He trains them well. And so, next year, Jordan will have his opportunity to step in and keep the tradition. And, he's doing a great job of learning and maturing. And so I'm looking for some great things from him, moving forward.
It's so funny, like as he continues to get bigger and bigger. When I'm watching footage, I see a lot of Jaden in him. Just the crossover, reverse dribble hand to the basket. I'm seeing a lot of the same moves. It's pretty cool to see that. You can see that he's been watching Big Bro, but also he's got some things up his sleeve that I haven't seen Jaden do too. So he's kind of developing his own
game,
his own style, his own game, which I love to see. And a lot of people don't notice about Jordan. He's musically gifted as well. I didn't realize. He sent me an instrumental from something he made. I said, "That's you?" He said, "Yeah." Oh, okay. I'm not really encouraging this, but if he ever decided he didn't want to hoop, he probably would have a future as a music producer. So I'm just putting it out there.
Well, yeah, he needs to come learn from you, man. But I know you got it. But yeah, that's just one of his hobbies. I think he enjoys making beats and stuff like that. So if he can get some the proper tutelage, I think he may be able to do something with it. But right now, it's a hobby of his.
Absolutely, yeah. We still got to get you guys to the studio, man. Y'all got to come here and drop some heat, man.
Absolutely. I think this summer we need to get over there for sure.
Let's do that.
Jaylen, I'll be on the way and get that border ride. Electrifying through the air, a Detroit shot. And it doesn't really matter if you love him, like him, hate him. That boy